Hey YouTube, it's Rachel and Yuli. Sorry, it's been a while since our last video. We just got a little busy and now we're just getting around to vlogging a little bit and keeping our story up to date. This time we're going to cover the seminar that we went to that actually started this whole IVF process. We'll talk about the options that the doctor gave us, the price ranges that we had, the choice that we chose, and then how we were going to decide who was going to carry and all that stuff. And then we'll talk about the sperm a little bit, and then we'll just end it from there.
So a few months back we went to the seminar. Right from the beginning we kind of knew we wanted to do IVF. We didn't really know too much about everything else, but we had been on Google, of course, and we thought that we wanted to do IVF. But when we went to the seminar and they were talking about, you know, insemination IVF and reciprocal IVF and all that other stuff, we knew that for us IVF would be the best route. We wanted to, at the time we didn't even know if it was possible. It's just kind of what we wanted. Okay, so for some reason we thought we would be able to have a child that would be biologically both ours, but of course we can't do that. So we decided that we would like to have one of us carry one of our own eggs and then the other one's egg at the same time.
I just really thought it was kind of, I guess not weird because it would be the same thing as surrogacy, but you know, if I carried Yuli's egg, how the baby wouldn't somehow be mine just because it was attached to the umbilical cord and, you know, feeding through me and all that kind of stuff. I just feel that I felt that maybe somehow the baby would be both of ours. So that's kind of one of the reasons that we thought maybe we could.
And I mean, it would be both of ours, like biologically, you know, like how would it not have like both our DNA or stuff like that, you know? But obviously it still doesn't. So yeah, so then we talked to their doctor as soon as we got done with the seminar, and you know, first we asked her how she felt about, you know, same sex couples, and she was all for it. Very sweet lady. Just she did it all the time, and so we felt better about going to a clinic that didn't see us any different, of course. And then we told her what we wanted to do and if that was even a possibility, and she said yes, that she didn't see any problems with it, and that, I mean, that was totally doable. So that was kind of that.
So then our choice was that we were gonna carry one of my eggs, one of her eggs at the same time, and then hopefully that they will both take and we would have kids that are both ours, obviously, regardless of who the mother or the father biologically is going to be. We were going to raise them as their parents, so in that sense it doesn't matter, but biologically one would be from her and then one would be from myself together. So that was our final choice.
Then so once we got home we kind of talked about who was going to carry, and even though we kind of had talked about it before, we kind of went back and forth on did I want to carry, which I didn't. Did we both want to carry at the same time? Was she gonna carry, or were we gonna do one, then we were gonna do the other? And then, but I mean, I think we talked about it, but all along we kind of knew what we were gonna do. Rachel's younger, and so I think that kind of had a
choice, and then had a factor in our decision.
Yeah, and then I didn't really want to carry. I just wanted to have a baby without having to go through the carrying part. So I mean, it kind of worked.
Have her cake and eat it too.
Yeah. So I mean, it worked out.
Yes.
So yeah. So then we decided Rachel was going to carry, and so after the seminar, we kind of waited a few months, and I'm not really sure why we waited before we made our first consultation. I think it's
okay. So yeah. So we're both in the Army, so after the seminar happened, we were trying to figure out how we were going to go about seeing if we could get a referral through the Army so that we didn't have to pay so much in the process. And we'll talk about that a little bit, which will go right into how much it really costs for us. But we actually did go in to see if I could get a well woman's exam. So I just got a regular exam, and then I talked to her about if I could get a referral through the Army, just TRICARE program, and she gave me a referral to go see the doctor that we're seeing off post to do our IVF procedure. And then Yuli also did the same similar thing.
Yeah, I went probably a month later and did the same thing. Got my annual exam, and then asked for a referral, and they gave me one right away. So once we both had our referrals, we went ahead and made an appointment for our first consultation. So once we had our first consultation, that's really when we sat with the doctor, and kind of they laid everything out as far as how it would work, how long it would take, what were the chances of us getting pregnant the first time, how much it would cost, and stuff like that. So we told her what we wanted to do. Once again, they told us our price, and then they said, when you come up with the money, we can go ahead and start.
So speaking of money, the price total is $25,000, right? $25,000.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's for both of us. The medication is really what you're going to pay the most money for if you're trying to conceive through IVF, because you are taking crazy, ridiculous medications, and each medication is so expensive. I don't know. It's crazy ridiculous. 8,100, is that what it is for both of us?
So for both of us.
Yeah. So split, it would be about anywhere between 4,000 and 5,000, probably. I would say, if you're going to go through this process, you can look to spend 4,000 to 5,000 on medication alone, and then you have your you will have your labs, you'll have your ultrasounds and all that stuff if you're not don't have any insurance coverage at all. I'm not sure how much that would be. Do we have a sheet on that, the prices? Yeah, I don't know how much that would be.
Luckily for us, TRICARE covered all that, like our office visits, all our labs, all our ultrasounds, all of our beginning exams, like our HCG. Was it HCG?
HCG. Mm-hmm.
And then what was the other thing?
We had
sorry.
Medication wise?
No. The stuff that we went to go do initially. We had, what was the transfer that you had? The fake transfer.
It was the HSG, that's what it was.
Yeah.
HSG, and then it was it was sort of similar to like a biopsy type of thing that I did just to check my cervix.
They went in there and they put dye to make sure that your tubes were.
That's what you said, HSG, dye test.
Mm.
Yeah. Then there were a couple other things that they did. I don't know. There's so much that you do throughout the process. I can't really even remember the first couple things I did, but I think it was they go in there and they check to see how big your uterus is and where they would actually insert the embryos when they actually did the procedure and all that kind of stuff, just to get a feel of the individual body, that they're working with. So
yeah, and luckily, like I said, all that was covered through TRICARE, which we're definitely glad for. And then, then our sperm. So we had to get medication. So both of us had to get medication because we both had to go through a retrieval. And then they weren't sure on some of the medications we were going to be taking, so we had to get those anyway, because by the time we needed them, it would be too late to order them. And then the sperm was about $1,200. We had to buy 2 vials of sperm. Ideally, if we would have been doing retrieval on the same day, we could have done with 1 vial. But because we weren't sure how we were both going to react to the medicine and how our eggs were going to be growing, there was a chance that we were not going to do retrieval at the exact same time. So we had to buy 2 vials of sperm just in case. So it ended up being, I think, about $500 a vial plus like $200 for shipping. So that was kind of how much it all came, and everything else. So it was about 8,100 on the meds, 1,200 on the sperm, and then everything else was for the actual IVF procedures, the retrieval and the transfer. And then our doctor suggested that we do frozen. She says, one, it just has a higher rate,
Right.
for the pregnancy, and then two, in case we didn't we didn't do egg retrieval at the same time, we wouldn't be able to do the transfer at the same time. So say Rachel did a retrieval first, and then I didn't do a retrieval till like 3 or 4 days later. By the time it was time for her to do the transfer, her eggs would have been further along and had less of a chance of making it, and mine were kind of fresher. So she said that she really advised us to do the frozen, so we did. So because Rachel is carrying both of our eggs, and we wanted to use the same sperm for both eggs, so then they would be related. Related? Yeah. It wasn't kind of hard, but we went in there and we just looked at a bunch of profiles. Really, we were looking at
ethnicity. I mean, we just wanted to kind of keep it to where they would look similar. Our kids would look similar to the both of us. So we didn't know if both of the embryos was going to make it to the fetus stage. So that we could have the baby. So either way, we wanted the child to be. We preferred the child to be either half Hispanic, half white type of thing. Because if we had a Hispanic, only Hispanic sperm and only Yuli's egg made it, then we would have a full Hispanic child, which would have been fine. But just for our preference, that's what we chose to do, is have a half white and then half Hispanic. I think he's half Cuban, right? Half Cuban donor.
Yeah, half Cuban and half white. And it was, I won't say it was a horrible process, but once you start looking at profiles online, there is so much information. They tell you everything about this person, which is good. Obviously, you don't just want to be like, here's a picture, good luck. But it is just definitely a lot of information, and it probably would take us like a good hour to just get through one profile. And we did this for a few days, and we were like, oh my God, there's just a lot of information to try to, keep in our heads. And the guy that we chose, we kind of had looked at him at the beginning. We looked at him
on day one.
Yeah, like the first day, and then we're like, okay, well, let's keep looking. And really everybody else was like, no. And then we just ended up going back to picking him.
Yeah.
Once it was all over, so.
Yeah, so like she said, they really go into detail there. And you can go through a whole bunch of different websites and different places. I'm assuming wherever you go, they gave us that option, but they did have one particular website. You want to talk about the website, or does it really matter? Yeah, I think it's Zytex, I think is how you pronounce it. Zytex is what they recommended. They do have a lot of donors there, and they have a good program, and they're affiliated with a lot of fertility clinics all over the United States. So they did recommend that one, and that's the one that we ultimately chose. But they have a lot of options, like Yuli was saying. You can upgrade, you can pay for more options, and we were just like overwhelmed with the basic option that we had. So we have tons more to talk about the process, but I think if we continue to talk more and more about it, then it just gets more confusing, because the first day we went for our consult, and we had everything laid out on the line. When we left 10 minutes later, I feel like I dumped all that information because it was so much. I didn't even know what was said to me afterwards. I had it all written down, and we were able to put bits and pieces together, but really at the clinic they go step by step with us, and they needed to, because when you put it all together, it's just a huge jigsaw puzzle, and it can be confusing and a lot to take in at once.
Yeah, the clinic wanted to give us only so much information, and we were like, no, we want to know everything right now. And they tried to tell us that it was overwhelming, and they were like, you know, we were like, no, we can take it.
We want it.
And it like Rachel was saying, it was just crazy. And we were like, no, they said this, no, they said that. It was definitely overwhelming. And then, you know, we were like, no, Google said this and Google said that and the doctor said this. But they were very patient with us. And every time we called asking about another question, they know us already. So we would just call and they're like, yes. They're always so nice and always willing to answer any of the questions that we have. And we call all the time. So
we will vlog again sooner than later this time. We're hoping to make another video tomorrow after we get back from a little brunch that we have planned. So hopefully, you know, we'll be looking a little peppier and, you know, have a little bit more solid information for you about all this stuff. So yeah. If you haven't already, then please subscribe if you're watching this and you're not a subscriber yet, or like and comment. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Ready, go.
Ready, go. All right,
Bye.
bye.